Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. We hope you're doing well on today, and welcome to episode 2 of Dream Stories. Yay! Hey, I'm your host. That makes it official when I say that. I'm your host, Dr. Candace Johnson, and I'm so excited. You all can tell that I have my sister, my friend, Miss Kennina Porter is in the building, in the studio. Welcome, Kennina.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yes.
I've been waiting for this moment.
Y'all, oh my goodness. I love Kennina. Y'all. Right. That's a whole nother story. We won't get into all that, but welcome everybody to Dream Stories. Come on in the room. Please comment. Let us know that you're here, that you can hear us, you can see us okay. And come on in the room. Come on in the room. I'm going to go on my phone like I always do and just make sure it's showing up well on the page and share it to my profile page. So give me just a second. Come on in, everybody. I don't see anyone watching yet, but I know that they're going to come on in. And for those who may be watching this later, welcome. So glad that you clicked that button to play this video. All right, I am seeing it, so I'm going to share to my page. There we go. All righty. So, Kennina, you good?
I'm good. I am really good.
Yes. Yay. So again, welcome everybody. I've said that a lot, but welcome to Dream Stories. As I mentioned, my name is Dr. Candace Johnson, and I'm your host today. So this is the second episode of Dream Stories, and really what Dream Stories is all about is sharing, is my friends or people that I'm introduced to, which will become friends because I have friends and I love everyone, but just an opportunity for people to share their story, to share their dreams, and just their journey through seeing their dreams come to fruition. All of us have a story. All of us are on a journey. And so it is so important that we testify, right? The word talks about we are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So there is power in us sharing our testimony. And I know that as you listen, as you hear, that you're going to hear something that is going to help you in your own journey, that's going to inspire you and encourage you. So that's really what Dream Story is all about. I'm blessed to have some amazing people in my life, and Kennina is, listen, she's there, y'all. She's right there. She is my sis, my accountability partner, all the things. So I'm so glad she's here. Yay.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and jump in. Let's jump on in. So I just want to say, okay, so Kennina and I can't remember exactly how we met, but we both work in education. And so we actually went to the same college, but Kennina is just a little bit younger than me. Yes, just a little bit younger than me. And so I think she was coming into Western, right, Kennina, as I was going out maybe. So yes, I don't remember like seeing her on campus, but Kennina used to work for the university in the admissions office. And so when I started at my organization that I'm at now, Kia, I would go to different college fairs, and that's when I met Kennina, and we just clicked.
Yeah.
How God will divinely connect you. And so he divinely connected us. And here we are today. We definitely, had those moments where I know she had changed positions. We didn't see each other, but then we reconnected, and it's been fire ever since. And so I'm so glad that it's amazing how God will reconnect and just help to strengthen relationships. And that might be another topic for another time, or we may talk about it today. So yeah, Kennina and I talk all the time, and just, again, we're encouraging each other. She is encouraging me, pushing me, and the same vice versa. So Kennina, just share with everyone who you are, what you do, just anything else kind of as an intro.
Okay, well, who am I and what do I do? So my name is Kennina Porter. I am an author, a self-published author, which I'm so proud about. and we'll probably talk more about that later. I have a podcast. I am an entrepreneur. I still say new vegan, but it's getting ready to be a year. So maybe after the year, I can say new vegan. I don't know. I'm still new. And my full-time job, I work in education. I am a student success manager with the nonprofit organization Evolve 502. So that's just a little bit about who I am.
Awesome. Awesome. So I know those things. So I appreciate, Kennina, you sharing that with our viewing audience. And so let's talk about your dreams, right? You talked about, you're an author, you have a podcast, you're coming up on a year. It's been a year in terms of this, not this, but the vegan lifestyle, and really wanting to, have good health, right? Because we know that does impact who we are and what we do. And so I just said a whole lot, but just talk about, maybe when you were younger, what dreams did you have? Do you see those things? Are you walking in those things now? Just your journey into really understanding what your dreams were and the steps to get there.
So I've always been a dreamer, right? I've always had these grand ideas of what I wanted to accomplish, but I think kind of like most kids, you don't really know, what path you're supposed to take in life, right? And so for me, and this is all God, because academically, I was just like, I just got to go to school because that's where I'm supposed to be. That's what the law says. So I'm just gonna go. So that was my initial opinion about education. So was not thinking of being a teacher. Was not thinking of any of those areas. The one thing that I knew I could do was communicate well. Like I knew that I could communicate well. I could talk. I could convey an idea. I could share a story. I knew I could do that. So growing up, I'm an 80s kid. So we were like
80s in the building. Come on now. Where the 80s kids at?
So we were the mixtape generation, a part of the mixtape generation, right? Or when you listen to the radio and used to double tape. So you can mix all your songs together. So at a young age, I was like in my room with the cassette player, and I was like editing songs from the radio, and then I would insert my own opinion in between the songs, right?
Come on now.
And so I was like doing my own little broadcasting from my room. And so that was something that I just thought was so much fun. It was so cool to be able to see all your work put together. And I love music. I've always been a lover of music. So I started to do that. And then I was introduced to Angie Martinez, which is a radio host, was a radio host for Hot 97, which is in New York City. And I just loved the way that she was unapologetically herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of these spaces and talking to these rappers and these actors and actresses. And she was the same person, and everybody loved her. And she had respect, and she knew her craft. And I was like, I want to be like that, right? I want to be radio. And so, that kind of led me down a path to think television or radio broadcasting. And that just kind of resonated with me as I pursued undergrad. I still kind of continue to keep that dream, even though I didn't go away to a four-year institution right away. I still kept that dream. And so that's kind of how growing up, I started to dream about.
That's so good. That's so good. So you mentioned you're an author, and we've had conversations. So so I'm asking these things, but I think I may know, but just, for those who may be watching, may be wondering. So did you ever, write things down, when you were younger, like I could see myself, doing this communication thing, or did you just do?
I wrote some things down, but for me, and this is just how I learn. This is how I dream. I'm a visual person.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take what I manifest in my head, or when I think in my head, I have to manifest that in some sort of a tangible way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the mixtapes were me manifesting my dream in a tangible way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Writing stories was my way of kind of manifesting that. I need to produce something. I need a product, right? I can't just keep it all on paper for me. I have to actually implement my plan. And so for me, I'm a visual person, and I have to create it and see it come out in some sort of a way, some sort of a form, for me to kind of be fulfilled, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's so powerful. That's so good. And so talk about your support system, right? Because that's just so important. Who were those people that, I loved how you talked about Angie Martinez. And I think a lot of times, and I may have read this, I think I read this in a book recently. It's like, our mentors we don't have to know them, right? But we see people and they can become, I'm saying air quotes, our mentors, because we see them doing their thing and that inspires us. So it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that you know personally, but that's good too, right? To have somebody that you can physically reach out to, them, you can call them, you can go see them. So who was your crew? Like, who was your support system? Who helped to spur you forward into those dreams?
I would like to say, I grew up with both parents in my household. It was a blessing that my parents didn't force their ideas of success onto us. They allowed us to kind of just evolve into who we were going to become. So they kind of just left it open for me to do what I was passionate about, and then they just kind of cheered us on. So that was the beauty in all of that. And so my parents will tell you, like, from 4 years old, I was very independent, right? And so I wasn't really leaning on, I didn't really lean on a lot of people for guidance. I already had the inner drive. And so, growing up, I think the biggest influence was my relationship with Christ, right? Because, at a young age, you're starting to try to figure out who you are and what you love. But then when you meet Christ, right, when you meet Jesus and you understand that the power of the relationship takes your dreams to another level, then you understand your full potential, right? And so for me, I was like, oh, okay, well, I want to do this, but if God is with me, then I really can achieve this level and this level. So really, at a younger age, I knew that at least that part of having a strong relationship with God was impactful. And that was ultimately going to really help me to figure this thing out, even if I didn't have all the answers. I also say influences, growing up as a kid in the church, you have, I had a strong example of a lot of strong leaders that, and when I say strong, were really vocal about the power that we have as children of God. I grew up in that type of teaching where it was like, I don't have to settle for this, right? God has more for me. If God said that I could do it, I can do it. If his word says it, then you can do it, right? I grew up in like that like I'm confident to believe that I can do this thing, right? And so that was powerful in itself, because being able to live and grow under that type of leadership made you have that kind of air about you, like, hey, I don't have to take this. And so I think I carried that. People who know me will probably say and agree that I've taken that, and I'm like, no, I don't have to settle for that. I can do everything that God has given me the ability to do. And so I think all of those things combined became my influence.
Yeah. So good. So good. So good. And it shows, right? You said that the people that know you agree, and that, in any environment you're in, that's what you are given out to propel others that they can, right? So I appreciate that because I definitely receive a benefit from it. And so I know that the young people that you're around, the people within your work environment, you know, your family, I know they're better, right? They're blessed because of you, you know, and who you are and who you are. So good, so good. And so let's talk about your book, self-published author, okay? And I should have had it right near me. It's on my bookshelf, y'all. Y'all see my bookshelf on the back. Kennina's book, When You Know There Is More. Did I get the title correct? I want to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So how did the book come about?
So I guess I can start by saying that I am a lupus survivor, right? And so that was a very critical time in my life. It happened in 2011, and I was on a journey to surviving, right? I was on a journey that, you know, I almost lost my life, right? And so that was a very devastating time, but it was also a time where I was able to gain strength from God and to really channel God, what my purpose was. And so going through that for years of struggling with lupus and God taking me through this journey throughout the entire time, and revealing things to me slowly but surely, right? I developed, God basically said, you need to write this book. And so I knew that this book would be different because the things that happen in this book are miracles, complete, absolute miracles, right? And they're things that if I told you, you wouldn't believe that they actually did happen, right? To the average person. And so those things I needed to document. I needed to make sure that they were on paper so that people could hear that story. And so that's initially what it became. Is that as I was going through the journey, I was documenting all of the details so I wouldn't forget, right? And then it became apparent that I wasn't finished with the ending, right? I got to probably about chapters and I was like, okay, I'm still recovering. I'm still trying to get better. Financially, I'm still recovering. And so this cannot be an ending to a book, right? I wanted to have a victorious ending. I wanted to have a triumphant ending, right? Where there's something good, right? You don't want to end like this. Especially since I'm a storyteller. Like I love it. So I was like, this can't be it. So I put it down. I put the book down for years and I picked it back up in 2017, 2018. So that's a huge gap of time that had passed.
Yeah. But so Kennina, I'm sorry, just so everybody's clear on the time frame. So when did you start writing it initially?
I started writing it, I would say probably I got sick in 2011. So maybe 2 years after that, I started to write. So maybe like 2013. Okay. I started writing it, and I wrote probably for about a year. I would say the first chapters. So probably stopped writing maybe about 2014.
Okay.
Then picked it back up 2017, 2018.
Wow, that's a word, y'all. Pick it back up.
Pick it back up. That's true, because some stuff people need to finish, right? But the thing I want the viewers to know is that in 2014, I was like I said, I was in the process of recovering. I had moved home with my parents. I had no money. I had drained my savings account. I just was starting from the beginning. And I thought I want to do something meaningful with my time. I want to give back. I want to work with youth. I always love working with young people. And so I want to continue that work. And so I decided to go and volunteer at a nonprofit organization here in the city of Louisville. And from the moment I walked into the place, I was there for 4 years. And so the gap, right, of time where I wasn't writing,
Yeah.
I was in ministry, right? I was serving young people. I was gaining more experience. I was learning more about my purpose in those 4 years. So when God told me to continue to write, all of that time had passed where I had gained all of that knowledge and I impacted all of those young people and I had something to tell, right? I had a story, I had to finish the story. And
Yeah.
so then I was able to fully understand the reason why I was sick, what my purpose was, and what God was doing. So he was putting all the pieces together in the book. And I was finally able to finish it in like 2018.
Wow. Wow. So good. So good. So I am going to show the banner for the book title. That's correct, right, Kennina?
Yeah,
So where, right, let's go ahead and do our PSA. We can definitely do it again at the end. But you all, Kennina's an author. I'm like, my friend is a published author, and I'm so excited for her. And like she mentioned, miracles, miracles, miracle. She's a miracle. She's a living testimony. And so, Kennina, can you share where people can grab your book?
You can actually grab it on Amazon. It's available on ebook and it's also available on paperback. And an audiobook is coming. I am working on an audiobook, but it is taking a little bit of time. So an audiobook is coming.
Awesome. Awesome. So make sure you all grab that when you know there is more, because there is more. So, Kennina, oh my goodness. So can you talk about, so you have the book and then just talk about, the podcast, right? You talked about when you were younger, you were doing the podcast before we even do a podcast. We're in the 80s, right? I'm laughing because I'm an 80s baby too. And Kennina and I have already talked about, I was doing the same thing. I was recording radio shows and doing my own voiceover and all that stuff. So we're kindred spirits on that, of course. But yeah, so you go from in the 80s doing your mixtapes, you've written a book. And so the podcast, I mean, like it's just a natural progression, I think, but just talk about, taking the step to launch out even more.
Okay. So I guess I kind of failed to mention that when I did go to a 4-year institution, I pursued broadcasting. And so I ended up not pursuing radio and I ended up pursuing television production. So shout out to WKU program, the broadcasting program, Hilltoppers. So, in that program, I learned to direct, to produce, and to edit, and just gain those skills. But then after I graduated, I remained in education. And so I didn't use the broadcasting skills, right? And so then after the book came out, I felt like there was 2 things that were apparent. One was I had more to say. Right?
Mm-hmm.
2, I know that other people have stories that they want to share and they have things to say.
So good.
How do I create a platform and a space for people to do that? And so that is how the More Movement Crew started. It was originally supposed to be a podcast, but the broadcasting production side of me decided to make it a YouTube channel as well. And so now it's audio and video, which has become like this whole thing. So that is how we got to that journey. I knew that there was more that I had to say, and there was more that other people had to say. And so I wanted to create a space for the More Movement Group.
That's so good. Yep, so good. So good. So another PSA, you all, go on YouTube, search the More Movement Crew. You'll see the podcast. You'll see, the whole YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, comment, right? All those things. And then talk about the podcast and the and then where you are now with with the podcast? I know did you just end season 2? Okay.
We just ended season 2. So season 1 was just me getting in there and figuring it out. I mean, all of the people that I rock with, all the people that like I know personally that are doing great work, were featured in season 1. From poets to chefs to business owners to musicians to travelers, like everybody was featured in season 1. To activists, right?
Yeah.
Everyone. Season 1 was so full of support and love, and I just grew during that season.
Yeah.
And so then season 2 was more personal. It was more about my story and where God is taking it in this season. And so that is where I share why I became vegan. That is where I share how God enabled me to be financially free from debt. How I started to research my family ancestry. And there's some blogs, there's some personal moments. There's a trip on there. Like season 2 is packed with just lots of action, right? If you have not checked out season 2. But season 2 is more personal. And then there's more interviews on there too. Some really good interviews on season 2 as well. So, I'm excited about what it's becoming and what's next, for sure.
So good. So you mentioned, sharing, I think this is how you said it, sharing, what God is doing in this season. And so we will be remiss to not talk about, because y'all, me and Kennina been talking through COVID, right? Like we just established our kind of standard. We're going to check in for the most part. And then of course, we have a life, so we weren't regularly checking in. But I'm just so grateful for, again, like I said, how me and Kennina are connected. And, when everything hit in terms of quarantine and COVID and being home, we're blessed to both work from home. Thank you, Jesus, that we're still able to do that and still, make impact and plan and rest, those things. So we're in a season, all right. We are in a season. So just talk about, Kennina, like, in the midst of, COVID-19 pandemic, and now in the midst of, racial injustices and those things that were already there, right? But it even more coming to light and conversations going on and protests, like where you are, in terms of, what God is sharing to you and what he's wanting to do, the more he's wanting to do in you and through you.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot.
That was a lot. I was like, wow, my brain was like racing, like, okay, where do I want to start? So I'll start with kind of how God has been dealing with me during this time, and then how all of that kind of relates to like the world around me. So very early on during this quarantine, but actually before quarantine, God spoke to me and he told me to do a podcast episode where people needed to rest, right?
Come on.
It was called Take Several Seats. And I did the podcast and I was just like, nobody's going to be wanting to fill this podcast. Like, God, nobody wants to take several seats, but I felt like it was needed, right? And I know now that it was, but I was just like, nobody's going to be wanting to listen to this podcast, right? And so he was revealing that there was so much movement, right? People were running from here to there and hustling and trying to get those 7 streams of income and trying to have, like, everybody was just like on their grind trying to like brand and be this and be a that and be a this. And so it was just like he was just really saying it was time to rest. So I put out the episode. I didn't think much of it. I just kind of kept it moving. And then all of this happened, right? The COVID-19. And I was like, wow, now I understand why he was saying that, because we were actually going to be forced to rest, right? We were forced to stop and to slow down and to start to think about where we are, who we are, what our values are, what is important, what we need, what we don't need, right? All of these things we're gonna be forced to deal with. And so I didn't know that was going to be prophetic. I knew that he just told me to say it's time to take several seats, right? So, in that time, God has been showing me a lot of things. He has been really speaking to me on just the importance of drowning out the noise, right? Because around us there's so much. There's so much coming at us. There's so much information to dissect. There's so much heartbreak and stories that are devastating. And so, as a human who feels and who has emotions, to take all of that in, it can be overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Mentally, it can be exhausting, and it can take a toll. And so, it was very important for me to preserve my peace in that time. And so when I was able to do that, he just started to reveal things to me, started to reveal brokenness, right? And imperfections and things I needed to work on and things I needed to fix, things I needed to deal with and things I needed to heal from. And so those things is what this time has produced. But speaking towards the result of those is that once I began to think about and to work through the healing and the brokenness and to identify that stuff that I need to change, right? He began to speak to me concerning what is next.
That's good.
And so that birthed a new project that I'm working on with the More Movement crew. And that is specifically for young people. And I don't want to talk details, but that is coming. And I think that it is so important for people to know their purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I know that because we are in a time such as this, we need people operating in the things that they are called to do.
So good.
And when you are operating with things that you are called to do, you impact the world, right? And you create the change that's necessary and that's needed. And so God needs people to be in all of these spaces to right wrongs, right? To break down injustices, to eradicate racism, to call things out, to put people that are supposed to be in position in the right positions. And so when you are operating in your gift, that exercises God to be able to do the things that he needs to do on this earth.
Come on now.
And so if I could help young people to understand that and to get that at a young age, imagine how impactful they can be to the world, right? And I love working with young people. They are my absolute favorite, right? They are my favorite people ever. And so I love the way that they think. I love the way that they are brutally honest. I truly believe that this generation can take the work to the next level, right? I truly believe this generation can really help to change things that have been in place for years, right? For generations. And so if we help them to discover why they were created and who they were created for, right? Then they can impact the world, right? The way that they should be. And and they still get to do it based on the things that they love and their passion, right? That's what God has really been revealing to me, is that how can we help people to discover like what their purpose is. And every episode and every interview, season 1 on the podcast is just that. It's people telling their stories and how their stories directly connect to their purpose. And so that is where I am in all of it, is really discovering how I can help people to figure that out. And how do we take, our passion? How do we take our pain? How do we take all of these things and put it into work that is meaningful, right? That is meaningful, and that really changes lives. How can we do that? So that's where I am, right? That's a lot. That was a lot. But that's what he's revealing to me. And I think that as I stay closer to him and to listening to what he's revealing in this time, I'll always be on the mark, right? You'll always know what he's doing next. Like, this is something really quick, but when I decided, when he said to go vegan, right?
Come on.
I was thinking, well, I really don't like meat all that much, so this ain't gonna be that bad. It's not really, it's cool. So if it'll help me to get to the level of health that I want to be at, I'll do it. So I was cool with it. I was like, cool, let's do it. So I decided to go vegan, and then I loved it. I loved the journey. I love discovering new things. And then maybe shortly after that, during the pandemic, I recognized that he told me to begin to eat for where he was taking me. And I thought that he was taking me like on these trips and on this journey. And like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting ready to travel. But it's probably protection from COVID, right? It's probably strengthening my immune system and preparing me for where we are right now. And when I thought about that, I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I listened to his voice. I accepted the challenge. And so now my immune system is stronger. I haven't gotten sick yet. I feel my best. And so those are the things. It's like when you're connected to what he's doing, what he's saying, you're always on point, right? You're always on point. So that's the goal. Always be with him.
So good. So good. I'm like, I want to keep going, but I also want to be mindful of time. Because I don't think I even talked about like how long this will be, but not just maybe a few more things. But I know it's so powerful what you said, Kennina, about this process of, and it's ongoing, right, of healing, because God will reveal more, about things that we need to take care of and stop doing, right?
Yeah.
Like sin and just all the things. And the fact that in this time, because we were quarantined, because you were at a place already, like, I need to rest, I need to slow down. And so you're open to hear, right? You're not distracted so much from so many things, that you can really hear, and that how important it is for us to take that time. And that it's a process, right? Like Monday, he's like, Kennina or Candace, this and this. And then Tuesday, you're like, okay, I'm ready. Come on, let's roll. It may not, maybe, right? But then maybe not. Maybe it's longer than that. That's a process. So I don't know if that's a comment or a question, if you want to add anything to that, but I definitely appreciate you sharing that, because well, let me just talk about me. I don't know about you all who are watching. Thank you for everybody who's watching. If you have any comments, hearts, share this video. Someone in your world needs this goodness, needs this, this word, this ministry. But for me, I don't want to be hearing all that. I'm whispering, but God knows my heart, right? But I know I need it so that I can be who he's calling me to be, right? So that this impact that I know I can make, that's been prophesied to me, or I know because God has shared that. Like, there's some things that I have to, that have to be taken care of that I can't carry right into that.
Yeah.
So
that's such a big part of it. I mean, it's I think that, and it's such a blessing to be able to take care of it now, right? Where you know what I'm saying? Like, you're quarantined, but when we see it as like an opportunity to get better and to grow,
so
like
good.
making the best use of our time. Like quarantine, I told people, I can't remember the conversation I was having, but we can come out of this completely different than we were when we went in, right? Like I said, it makes you question your values. It makes people think about, like, have I been complicit in some of the things that's going on, or have I been withdrawn and not more sensitive to the needs of people? Have I just been out here buying stuff that I didn't need, right? And now I realize I can't just go to the store and get it. So do I really need it? You know what I'm saying? Like, should I have been saving my money? And me in this whole building wealth thing, right? And this financial
about it. Yeah.
Another episode, right? Is
just give us a little, I mean, you're
like, just the importance of being able to own, right? As people of God, as people of color, to be able to own, like, your own home, to be able to make moves without debt, like holding you and restraining you, to be able to financially be at the table, to give, right? To pay people scholarships, right? To start foundations, to buy property, to do those things, to build those things. And so financially, if we don't get ourselves out of all of this debt, then we're not able to do that, right? We're not able to save. We're not able to build the way that we should. And so I think that's power in itself. I think that even wealth building, and shout out to Vanessa Lindley, who was my financial capability coach. Like, I love her. But just being able to understand, the importance of being being able to obtain wealth and to be able to build wealth is essentially your power and your source of strength in all of this, right? Because part of social justice, I think, is also us recognizing that we need to be able to have a seat at the table in conversations, right? We need to be able to come together and to put our dollars towards kingdom things, right? And if you don't have the dollars, right, to invest in kingdom ventures and entrepreneurship and putting in small businesses, sowing seeds, then how can we further the kingdom, right? How can we further the work that needs to be done? And so I think that that's a part of it, right? That is a part of social justice, is wealth building. And I think it's important for us to recognize that.
So good. So good. And the principles are in God's word. Oh my goodness, I'm looking around, but I guess I'll pull out I'm not going to say old school, but come on now, King James.
That
is the foundation. This is what you do when you get baptized at the Baptist church, y'all, where I grew up.
That's the gift Bible right there.
That's the gift. Come on, when you first come on in.
But it's stewardship, Candace, it's stewardship. Yes. No matter how small or no matter what you make, like, you are a steward of it.
Yeah.
Right. And be responsible for what God has blessed you with. And then you will be able to get more. Like, that was a lesson that was so valuable from my parents, and particularly my father. He was just like, you got to be a good steward, of this car, if you want God to bless you with another one. That was something that I took with me, that, if I maintain this, then God is going to bless me with more and more and more. And it happened just how he said it was. But I had to take care of what I have, right? I had to manage what I have before God is going to allow me to go to another level, right? Manage what you got. So that's the whole word right there.
It is. Well, I was going to say, because it's not just money, right? But everything, your body, like you're stewarding your body. Now, that's a work in progress, and I appreciate someone to look up to, like Kennina, in terms of my health and wellness. I mean, for real. What you say?
I'm still a work in progress.
Right. We all are. But I'm just saying, and actually, steward is my word for this year, right? Steward, it's all those things, stewarding the things that God has given me, right? Because I'm not the owner, he is, and so what did he say to when he tells the parable about the talents, that Well, when the man who had the 5 talents, the man who had the 2 talents, they took care of business. They invested, right? They sowed. They did what they needed to do. He said, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant. I've made you a ruler. Now you're gonna be a ruler over many things, right? You've been a ruler over a few things. Now I'm gonna make you a ruler over many." God can trust us, right? When we steward well, and that is in every single aspect of who we are, right? Steward in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
What we hear, stewarding what we see, stewarding our body, our finances, the physical things that we've been given, our car, our home, like you said, that's a whole nother, but I just had to drop that, drop that right there. This has been so good. And Kennina, no, we could keep going, but we're going to wrap it up. So Kennina, someone who's watching now, right? I think we have 4 people watching. Shout out to the 4 people that are viewing this and those who will watch this later. I'm not going to say one thing, but just a couple of things. And you've poured so much and just given so much knowledge and wisdom already. But as we think about where we are now and looking forward, just what are some things that you want to impart?
Wow. I think that
courage.
Yeah. For those watching and for those who will be watching, we talked about this throughout the whole interview, is really, really seeking out your purpose, right? Mm-hmm. Really seeking out what God has called you to do. Because when you do that, it opens the door to so many things, right? Mm-hmm. He will allow you to go through doors you never imagined you would go through, right? Never imagine you would go through if you were to seek out your purpose, like why you're here. And I think a lot of times people struggle because they know that there's something that they're called to do, right? It's a job, right? And they know that it's temporary. They know this is not really what they want to do. And there's always that fight with that pool. Well, I love drawing, or I love this, or I love that, but I wasn't able to achieve that. Well, you want to seek God, because if it's the purpose, He's going to give you the means to be able to do it, right? And so seek that out. Seek out your purpose, because the world needs you.
Yes, we do.
The world
needs
we do. That's my advice, right? The world needs you. They need your gift. And only you can do it.
So good. You know what I'm doing. I'm about to throw up a banner.
I was wondering why you was quiet.
I was like, let me make sure I spell everything correctly. There's supposed to be an exclamation point after you, y'all. But for real, that's so good. That's so good. Okay, just one more question, and then we will wrap it up. So, to what you said, right? Seek out your purpose. What is one small thing that somebody could do today? Practical, right? Like, okay, I hear you, Kennina. I hear you, Candace. I see y'all. Whoop, whoop. But what is one small thing that I could do today to that end? And it's really not an end, it's a journey, but seeking out my purpose, because I know the world needs me.
Actually, there's one thing you can do that really doesn't require anything but self-reflection, right? I truly believe that our purpose is connected and is discovered through our experiences, our passion, and our natural talents and giftings and the skills that we've learned. So all of those things God uses, and He brings them together for a specific reason. And so I implore you, right, to take some time to sit down and to write, what am I good at, right?
So good.
What do I love doing? If I wasn't paid $1 for it, what would I do if I was not paid anything, right? Would I still do it? What comes naturally to me, right? What I can do in my sleep and it's easy, right? Those things. And I think that once you start to write those things down and ask God to reveal it to you, I think that the pieces will start to come together.
So good. So good. Write the vision, make it plain so that men who read it will run. So that's so good. Thank you, Kennina, so much. And we have a comment from my sis, Kennina. I'm sorry, that's who I'm talking to. Nisha. So Nini said there were 8 watching and more will catch the replay. Yes. Yes. Let me put that up there so you can see that, Kennina.
Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.
Yes. And then Nishan also commented, Kennina, I appreciated what you said about helping kids find their purpose. The sooner you recognize your talent, gift, superpower, which is what it is, the more attention they can give it and help it grow. Then when their opportunity hits, they'll be ready. So good.
Exactly. Right on. That was spot on.
So good. Well, thank you, everyone. Kennina, you already know. I love you so much and I appreciate you. So we'll do our PSA again. And I have your information on that I'm going to display right here. But talk about your book again, the podcast, the YouTube channel, and anything else you want to share about More Movement Crew and KP Media and Consulting.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to connect with you. I want to hear from you. We would love for you to follow our Facebook page, The More Movement Crew. Visit our YouTube channel, The More Movement Crew, and subscribe so that you can get the latest videos and check out some of the season 1 and season 2 videos too. There's definitely going to be something that you are definitely going to enjoy on that. And then we just want to, connect with you, hear from you. You can find the book on Amazon. And you can download it, and it will definitely bless you. I promise.
So good. And it's an easy read, you all. Like it's so good. So good. I mean, I read it. It didn't take long at all. Well, I like to read too, but those who, maybe not, like Kennina mentioned, the audiobook is coming soon. And that is, audio is real big because I know even me with podcasts, and Kennina is on all the major, I believe, channels for her podcast. I like to listen to it on the Apple podcast, and I'm driving, in my car, or even if I'm walking, I'm moving. So I'm also getting, listening to the podcast. So we'll be excited when the audiobook, when there is more drops. No rush, but it's coming. It's coming in time. It's coming soon. Awesome. Again, Kennina, thank you all so much. And I just pray everyone who is watching that you got what you needed. I know you did. So definitely connect with Kennina on all her channels, The More Movement Crew. Cop her book. Do people say cop? I don't know, but I just did. Get her book. And then Dream Stories. Like I said, this is episode 2. I'm learning, as well. And so it'll get stronger and stronger. And so the next episode will be live July 31st on a Friday. And I'm so pumped because I'll have my mentor, Dr. Tony Robinson. She's out of Las Vegas, y'all, and she's coming with fire, just like my first guest, Monique, did, just like my guest right now, Kennina, did. And so I'm so excited for you all to meet my mentor, Dr. Tony Robinson. So that's going to be awesome. July 31st. Same day. I may move the time, but just look out on here for more information about that. And then let me shout out my consulting business / ministry / it'll be more whatever God would have it to be, Vision Speak Consulting. And so we're encouraging you to connect to your God-given dreams, to really walk you through that process. A lot of things that Kennina shared in terms of knowing your purpose, knowing your strengths, and just connecting you and consulting and coaching you to be all that God would have you to be. So if you want to connect, there's the email right there. So, or you can message me on this page. All right. So thank you, everybody. Kennina, thank you again. Anything else you want to say? Anything we did?
Okay. Good. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful Friday and the rest of your weekend. I just pray blessings and favor upon you and your family in Jesus' name. Amen. Bye. Share this video. Bye.